क्या डोनाल्ड ट्रंप दुनिया में जारी जंगें रुकवा सकेंगे? ट्रंप के 4 साल दौर में दुनिया में क्या अहम तब्दीलियां रूनमा हो सकती हैं? और सबसे अहम बात ये, पाकिस्तान यूएस रिलेशन कहाँ पर होंगे? हमारे साथ मौजूद होंगे साबिक वज़ीर ख़ारजा खुर्शीद कसूरी एंड माइकल कुबरमैन भी हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं, जो कि फॉरेन पॉलिसी के कमेंटेटर हैं, रिनाउंड कमेंटेटर इंडीड. Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us on the program. I'll start with what you said on X. You said with Trump's election win, expectations are high for big changes in US foreign policy. But in South Asia, expect considerable continuity in US regional strategy. So you are referring to Pakistan, US as well, and you are expecting to see the same policy continuation. Is that correct?
Yes, more or less. I would argue that there's been a single strategy that has guided U.S. policy in Asia on the whole, in South Asia and beyond that. And it's called the Indo-Pacific strategy, which is a strategy that revolves around efforts to counter Chinese power. And this is a strategy that Trump himself launched when he was president the first time. It was maintained by the Biden administration, and I imagine that it will be maintained by Trump as well. Now, since Pakistan has a close alliance with China, the view of U.S. officials, which I imagine Trump will agree with, is that Pakistan is not really seen as a formal part of the strategy because it's a strategy that's meant to counter China. So I think that what we could expect from Trump in his second term in office when it comes to Pakistan is really to maintain a similar type of arrangement that you had with the Biden administration, which is to try to work for a friendly, workable relationship with Pakistan, but one that has relatively limited goals. And that's because U.S. goals and interests in Pakistan have been downgraded, have been downsized since the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Right now, as I'm talking to you, almost every Pakistani news channel is talking about the possibility of Donald Trump administration helping Imran Khan, who is in jail at the moment, former Prime Minister, to come out of jail. Now, this started as a slight social media campaign, but it became so huge that the Defense Minister had to give commentary on that the Foreign Office has responded on that. Former Minister Zulfi Bukhari, based in UK right now, says that he will be visiting USA and meeting Donald Trump's daughter and son-in-law to request them to help Imran Khan come out of jail. I'm sure you're aware of this situation. Is this all based on assumptions, or is there actually a possibility of this happening?
Well, I mean, as I've been telling many Pakistani friends and interlocutors, is I have no reason to believe that Donald Trump has given any indication that he would have any interest in trying to advocate on behalf of Imran Khan and trying to bring attention to his plight, much less pressure Pakistan's government to release him. I simply think this is not rooted in any truth. My understanding is that there have been some conversations between PTI supporters and members and those close to Donald Trump. So maybe some hope that could lead to something. I really don't know why there is this view among some that Trump would be interested in trying to advocate on behalf of Khan. I think it perhaps is rooted in the fact that when Trump was president, that he did meet with Khan. He invited him to the White House, and they met several times. They met at Davos. They seemed to get along well. But let's be very clear. Donald Trump was not trying to cultivate a friendship with Imran Khan. He saw Imran Khan.
Okay. He saw him as, we're going to start from here. Because we're having some issue there. जैसे ही मामला ठीक होता है हम बात करेंगे. उन्होंने कहा कि उस वक्त जो वार्म वेलकम दिया था बानी पीटीआई को डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने, उसकी वजह ये थी कि वो उनको मोस्ट प्रॉब्ली, जो उन्होंने अपने ट्विटर पे भी लिखा था, कि अफगानिस्तान के हवाले से अहम समझते थे. We've got Michael Kugelman again with us. I'm really sorry, we were having some technical issue. You were saying that the assumption about Donald Trump helping Imran Khan out of jail is based on the fact that he gave a warm welcome to Imran Khan when he was Prime Minister and he visited US. But that's where we got disconnected, so you may continue, please.
Thanks. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. And I would add that Trump is someone who has never given any indication that he would be driven in his foreign policy considerations by issues of democracy and human rights. So to me, the idea that he would want to bring Imran Khan, bring the plight of Imran Khan to the attention of the world, it just doesn't seem to be in line with the way that Trump thinks about foreign policy and goes about things. So I would just say this, that one could certainly think there's a possibility that Trump might send some tweets about Khan, or that he might mention him at some point once he takes office, just because I'm sure he knows who Khan is. He would remember who he is. And indeed, as I understand it, some PTI supporters and members have met with people close to Trump. But that's very different from the idea of him suddenly deciding to advocate on behalf of Khan. And I emphasize that point, that his foreign policy style does not revolve around democracy promotion. That's simply not something. It's simply not something that he does.
And you've also said that in the next Trump administration, we may see a U.S. willingness to go further in engaging with the Taliban. This will be very interesting. How do you see this unfolding?
Yeah, I mean, that was just something that I've been thinking about. I think that Trump would not be as concerned about engaging with an entity, with a government that has a poor human rights record, because, he's not driven by values when it comes to foreign policy. He's very much interest-based. And I think that what might make Trump interested in engaging with the Taliban is the issue of Islamic State Khorasan, ISK. He would know that the Taliban have been engaging in a number of operations against the group. Trump, when he was president the first time, liked to talk about how he had defeated ISIS. And so I think that he would take an interest in the fact that ISKP is now very active and potent, based in Afghanistan. And I'm not saying that he would want to actually partner with the Taliban in terms of a counterterrorism partnership, but I do think that he would be interested in engaging with the Taliban to get a better sense as to what it's doing. I don't necessarily think that the Trump administration would be prepared to recognize the Taliban government, but I do think that this next administration would be much less reluctant about engaging with a group that has such a poor human rights record.
So in the past, we've seen a constant Pak-US relation vis-a-vis Afghanistan, which has changed now, of course. So where do you see this bilateral relation in the coming days? I mean, there's a general perception that Pakistan is not a priority for US right now. Is it going to stay like this in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the relationship could change a bit in the Trump administration, just in the sense that some of the new areas of cooperation that emerged during the Biden era, things like climate change, I don't think that would be something that a Trump administration would want to focus on. I think that you could look to the commercial side of the relationship. I think that Donald Trump would be interested in maintaining the trade relationship with Pakistan. As you well know, the U.S. has long been the top destination for Pakistani exports. But the economic troubles that Pakistan has experienced might give pause to the Trump administration. It would only want to ensure that trade relationship is gaining steam and increasing if there's a recognition and a reassurance that Pakistan's economy is stabilizing. There has been a counterterrorism dialogue in U.S.-Pakistan relations over the last few years. It's met a few times due to the ISKP issue. As I had suggested before, that's something that Trump might want to consider. But
right.
Yeah, I simply don't think that Pakistan will likely not be a big strategic priority for a Trump administration that will likely be focused on this Indo-Pacific strategy, which revolves around countering